I want to start by taking something away from you. That unit under your sink does not have blades, not one. I have pulled apart more of these things than I can count, and almost every time, somebody watching over my shoulder says the same sentence. Careful, don't cut yourself on the blades. There are no blades. I can run a finger around the inside of a grinding chamber and come out with clean skin every single time. Here is what is actually in there. There is a flat metal plate at the bottom called a flywheel, and it spins fast. Sitting on that flywheel are two blunt metal lugs called impellers, and they swivel loose on their posts. They are dull on purpose. Around the outside wall of the chamber, there is a ring of stationary teeth called the grind ring. So the machine does not cut anything. It slings food outward and mashes it against that ring until the pieces are small enough to wash through the holes. It is a hammer mill. It is not a blender. Why does that matter to you? Because once you understand, it is a masher and not a cutter. Every item on this list stops being a rule you have to memorize. It becomes obvious. You will know why the thing died. My Uncle Ray put it to me this way when I was about 19, standing in a stranger's kitchen with my head in a cabinet. He said a disposal only fails three ways. It jams, it wears out, or it passes the trouble downstream into your pipe. That is the whole list. Three ways. So I am going to tag every one of these 12 items with which of those three it does to you. By the end, you are not reciting a list. You are reading a machine. Number 7 manages all three at once, and I have replaced whole units over it. But we start with the one that never even touches the flywheel. Number 1 is grease, cooking oil, and bacon fat. Here is the thing that fools people. Grease goes down beautifully. It is warm. It is liquid. It pours like water, and the disposal takes it without a sound. No grinding, no groaning, no complaint. You think you got away with it? You did not. You just moved the problem 20 inches down the pipe where you cannot see it. That fat leaves the chamber warm and liquid. Then it hits the trap under your sink, which is full of standing water sitting at room temperature. The fat cools. It stops being a liquid and goes back to being a solid, and it plates itself onto the inside wall of that pipe like candle wax on a candlestick. One pour is a film you would never notice. 300 pours over 2 years is a pipe with half the opening it started with. Then one night you rinse a plate and the sink burps at you. What you do instead costs nothing. Keep a coffee can or an old jar under the sink. Pour bacon grease in, let it set up, and when it is full, it goes in the trash. That is it. That is the whole fix. And I will tell you, dish soap and hot water does not solve this. It just emulsifies the fat long enough to carry it farther down the line, where it cools anyway. Only now it is somewhere you need a plumber to reach. Failure mode on number 1, downstream. It never hurts the machine. It kills the pipe. Number 2 is coffee grounds. This one I have to fight people on, because there is a story going around that grounds scrub the chamber clean and knock down the smell. The smell part is half true. The scrubbing part is nonsense, and it is expensive nonsense. Think about what a coffee ground already is. It is a mineral hard particle that has already been ground down about as fine as it is going to go. Your disposal cannot make it smaller, so the grounds do not get processed. They just get wet and washed out of the chamber as loose sediment. Then they reach the trap, and they do exactly what sand does in a slow-moving river. They settle. They pack. Wet coffee grounds compress into a dense black sludge that holds its shape, and it grabs onto anything else coming through, especially fat. Between you and me, grease alone is slow. Grease plus coffee grounds is fast. Those two together are the single most common trap clog I pulled out of kitchen sinks for 30 years, and it is not close. Grounds belong in the trash or in a garden bed. If it is odor you are after, hang on, because I have a better answer for that in the bonus at the end. And it costs about 40 cents. Failure mode, downstream again. Same as number one, and they work as a team. Number three is eggshells. This is the one that gets defended the hardest. Somebody's grandmother swore eggshells sharpen the blades. Now, you already know what is wrong with that sentence. There are no blades to sharpen. That myth is not a little bit off. It is backwards. Eggshells do two separate kinds of damage, and they are worth splitting apart. The shell itself is calcium carbonate. It shatters into fine grit, and that grit does not dissolve. It rides down with the water, drops out in the trap, and mixes with the grease film that is already there into a paste with the texture of wet concrete. Not a figure of speech. I have chipped that out of a P-trap with a screwdriver. The membrane is the sneakier half. That thin skin on the inside of the shell does not break down at all. It slips past the impellers, wraps around the flywheel shaft, and starts building a wad down where you cannot see it. Enough of those and the flywheel drags. The motor runs hot, and the reset button starts tripping on you for no reason you can find. Shells go in the trash. If you compost, they are wonderful out in the garden. They are just terrible in your plumbing. Failure mode on number three, and it is the first double. Wear on the machine, and a clog downstream. Number four is fibrous vegetables, celery, corn husks, artichoke leaves, asparagus ends, rhubarb. Now we are done talking about the pipe for a minute because this group attacks the motor. Remember the impellers. Two blunt lugs on a spinning plate. They are built to shove soft material against the grind ring. They are not built to sever anything, and celery is nothing but long, parallel strings. So when celery goes in, the strings do not part. They stretch. They wrap around the impeller posts and the shaft under the flywheel, and they wind tighter with every rotation. The same way a fishing line wraps a boat propeller. The motor keeps pulling, the load climbs, the thermal overload trips, and you are standing there, pushing that little red reset button on the bottom of the unit over and over, wondering what you did. Corn husks are the worst of the bunch. Those things are practically rope. Handle it this way. Fibrous stuff goes in the trash before the plate ever hits the sink. If you must put a little through, go small, a couple of inches at a time, with cold water running hard. But honestly, the trash can is right there. Failure mode on number four, jam. Straight, clean, motor-killing jam. If this is making sense so far, the subscribe button is right down there, and it is free. This is the Vintage Pipefitter, and I put out a new real-world repair every week, the kind of fix that saves you a service call. Tap it, and these walkthroughs will just be waiting for you the next time something under your sink starts acting up. Number five is potato peels. Peels look harmless. They are soft, they are thin, and the disposal chews them without a fuss. That is exactly what makes this one a slow ambush. Two things go wrong at once. The peel has enough fiber to behave like a small version of number four, and it plasters itself flat against the underside of the flywheel where nothing knocks it loose. The bigger problem is the starch. Ground potato and water make a paste, and that paste is genuinely adhesive. It coats the grind ring and dries into a shell over the teeth. Once those teeth are filled in and smooth, the ring cannot do its job anymore, and everything you put in after that grinds worse than it used to. Then the rest of the paste washes into the trap, dries, and narrows the pipe. Cold water helps some because it keeps the starch from gelling as fast, but it does not save you if you are dumping the peels from a 10-pound bag. Peel your potatoes over a sheet of newspaper or a bowl and walk it to the trash. 30 seconds of your life. Failure mode, all three. Some jam, real wear on the grind ring, and a clog downstream. Number 5 is quietly one of the meanest on this list. Number 6 is pasta and rice. This is the one most people never even think to check, because they already put it down there this week. Here is the trouble. Pasta and rice are not finished absorbing water when you scrape them off the plate. Not close. They will keep drinking for hours. So a cup of leftover spaghetti goes in, and the machine handles it fine. No noise, no struggle. But now you have a mash of starch sitting in the low spots of your drain line, still swelling. It doubles. In a trap that only holds so much, doubling is the whole ballgame. Rice is worse than pasta. The grains slip through the grind ring almost whole, so they reach the pipe intact and expand there. And it is the same starch glue from number 5, so it is sticky as it grows. It does not wash on through. It sets up and waits. If you have ever had a kitchen sink that drained fine all week and then died on a Sunday after a big meal, this is usually the culprit. Ask me how I know. Scrape the pot into the trash. Rinse the film that is left, and that is fine. Failure mode on number 6, downstream, and it is a delayed one. Number 7 is bones. This is the one I promised you, and it earns it. Somebody always tells me their unit handles small chicken bones just fine. It does, for a while. That is the trap. This damage is cumulative. Watch what actually happens. A bone fragment goes in, and the flywheel throws it against the grind ring at full speed. The bone does not mash, because bone is harder than the food that ring was designed for. So it bounces. It ricochets around that chamber like a rock in a clothes dryer, getting slammed into those stationary teeth over and over. Every hit rounds a tooth off a hair. Do that a few hundred times, and the grind ring is smooth. A smooth ring cannot grind, so everything you put in afterward passes through too coarse and goes on to clog the pipe. Meanwhile, the bone can wedge between an impeller and the ring and stop the flywheel cold, which stalls the motor, and bone chips are hard enough to score the shaft seal, which is where those units start leaking from the bottom. That leak is a replacement, not a repair. Bones in the trash, every time. Failure mode, all three, and this is the one that actually ends units. Number 8 is fruit pits, peaches, avocados, plums, cherries, mangoes. If bones are hard, a peach pit is a rock. It is denser than anything the machine will ever see, and it will not break down. Not in 10 seconds, not in 10 minutes. That pit gets thrown against the grind ring and stays in the loop, bouncing because it is too big for the holes and has no path out. So it spins in there with the impellers hammering it, and you get that metal-on-metal racket that makes you jump. That noise is the sound of money. It is the impellers taking the beating and the ring rounding off in one concentrated burst instead of over years. Half the time, the pit finally jams solid between an impeller and the ring, and the unit stops dead with a hum. That hum is the motor trying and failing. The good news is a pit jam is usually fixable in 5 minutes, and I will walk you through exactly how in the bonus tip. But the smart play is simple. Avocado pit goes in the trash along with the skin, which is leathery enough to earn its own spot on this list. Failure mode, jam, and hardware. Number 9 is onion skins, the papery outer layers and the slick membrane between the layers. This one shows you how little something has to weigh to cause a problem. That thin skin is a wet sheet of tissue. It has almost no mass, so centrifugal force barely moves it. It never gets thrown against the ring with any authority. It just flutters in the chamber and eventually lays itself flat over the drain holes in the grind ring. Now you have covered a section of the outlet. Water backs up in the chamber instead of draining, and everything after has to fight for space. One onion skin you will never notice. Every onion for 2 years, and you have a mat down there. The slick membrane is the other half. It behaves like the eggshell membrane from number 3. It wraps, cheapest fix on the whole list. Peel your onion into the trash can and let the disposal have the parts of the onion you were going to eat. Failure mode, jam, and downstream. Number 10 is nutshells. Walnuts, pecans, pistachios, peanut shells. Here is a piece of shop floor logic worth holding on to. A nutcracker squeezes a shell between two hard surfaces until it fails. Your disposal slams things against a hard ring, so the machine is a nutcracker. That is what it is doing in there. The problem is, a nutcracker cracks one nut and stops. Your disposal keeps going, and the shell pieces get smaller and sharper and stay in the loop, blasting the ring like grit in a sand blaster. Walnut shell is hard enough that industry uses it as abrasive media for cleaning metal. You are running an abrasive through a machine you want to keep. Pistachio shells add their own trick. Those little half shells are shaped like a scoop, and a scoop is exactly the right shape to catch on an impeller post and stick. Shells in the trash. And while we are here, a coconut shell will destroy a home unit in one sitting. Failure mode on number 10, wear. Steady, invisible, and it shortens the life of the unit by years. Number 11 is non-food items, and I know that sounds obvious, so let me be specific, because these are the ones I actually pulled out of chambers. Bottle caps, twist ties, pull tabs, rubber bands, bread bag clips, those little plastic tags off produce. And by a wide margin, the number 1 item, a spoon. Metal is the loud one. A spoon in a running disposal makes a sound you will remember for a week, and it will chew the impellers up in about 3 seconds. But the quiet one is worse, and it is the produce sticker. Those little oval stickers off apples and bananas are made to survive water. They peel off in the sink, wash into the chamber, and glue themselves to the wall or the ring, and they do not come off. I have opened up units with 24 of those things layered inside like wallpaper. 2 habits fix all of it. Pick the stickers off into the trash before the fruit reaches the sink. And get in the practice of looking into the chamber with a flashlight before you flip that switch. Not your hand, ever. A flashlight and tongs, switch off. Failure mode, jam and heavy wear. Number 12 is harsh chemicals. Store-bought drain cleaner, bleach, and anything sold to melt a clog. This is the one that makes me wince, because it is usually somebody trying to fix a problem items 1 through 11 created. Understand what that chemical does. It is caustic, and it works by generating heat. Now think about the parts in there that are not metal. A rubber splash guard at the top. A shaft seal at the bottom, keeping water out of the motor. Caustic plus heat makes rubber go hard and brittle. And here is the part that really gets people. If the unit is jammed, that chemical does not drain. It sits in the chamber, hot and full strength, soaking those seals for hours. You have not cleared anything. You have cooked the parts that keep water out of your motor. Then when you do open that trap, you are reaching into a pipe full of caustic liquid. That is a real burn. Skip it. A plunger, a bucket, and pulling the trap will beat drain cleaner every time, and a replacement trap kit runs about $5 against $150 for a service call. Failure mode, all 3. Plus, it makes the repair dangerous. Now, here is the payoff I promised you, and it is the reason I do not want you calling anybody the first time this unit hums at you. That hum means the motor has power and the flywheel is stuck. 9 times out of 10, you fix that yourself in 5 minutes for $0. Kill the power first, not the wall switch. Go to the breaker panel and shut the circuit off or unplug the unit under the sink if it is on a cord. Do not skip this. Now get under there and look at the bottom center of the unit. There is a hex socket right in the middle. Most units came with a little wrench taped to the side, and if yours is long gone, a 1/4-inch Allen key fits. Put it in that socket and work it back and forth. You will feel the jam let go. Then reach in from the top with tongs, never your fingers, and pull out whatever was in there. Press the red reset button on the bottom, restore power, and run cold water. And for the odor, which I owe you from number 2. Fill an ice tray with white vinegar, freeze it, and run a few cubes through with cold water. The ice knocks film off the chamber walls and the vinegar handles the smell. About 40 cents once a month, and you will not think about it again. Thank you for staying with me through all 12. If it saved you a unit or a service call, that is a good day's work. Subscribing to the Vintage Pipefitter is free and takes 1 tap, and it puts a new repair in front of you every week. Plain fixes, honest reasons things break, and know-how that usually takes decades on the job to pick up. Take care of that machine and it will take care of you. I will see you next week.